Hello, everyone. Hi. So, we are back with a new session and a new practice test. And today, here with me is again Ananya from Team Vallat.
Hi everyone.
Okay, so today we will be doing a practice test on Tamil Nadu set. So, let me share my screen first and then we will get started. All right. Okay, so I hope all of you can see the screen. So, here we are with our Tamil Nadu set crash course day 5. Please do look up the prior videos as well. There are 4 videos prior to this, and it's day 5. Okay, so let's move on to our first question. Here.
What does Arnold call the study of perfection? Is it philosophy, pedagogy, art, or culture? What does Arnold call the study of perfection?
In his massive work, Culture and Anarchy, Matthew Arnold called culture the study of perfection. He called culture the study of perfection in his work, Culture and Anarchy. Okay, next.
Bodies That Matter on the Discursive Limits of Sex, 1993, is an important work by Dash. Is it Betty Friedan, Helen Sizou, Catherine Clement, or Judith Butler? You can guess by the picture given in the question as well.
Okay. So I am hoping that most of you have guessed by now by the picture itself that who is the writer. Yes, this is a very important work by none other than the one who talked about gender trouble, gender performativity. Yes, it's a work by Judith Butler. It's a very important work. So in Bodies That Matter, Judith Butler further develops her distinctive theory of gender by examining the workings of power at the most material dimensions of sex and sexuality. Deepening the inquiries she began in Gender Trouble, Butler offers an original reformulation of the materiality of bodies, examining how the power of heterosexual hegemony forms the matter of bodies, sex, and gender. So this text, it's a very dense one. It talks about the material dimension of bodies, the hegemony exerted by heterosexual heteronormativity, the material dimensions of sex. So it's a very dense text which also furthers Butler's inquiry of gender trouble, or gender performativity, or how the body works in all of these networks and operations of power. All right, next.
The Reign of Terror is associated with Dash. Is it Charles I, Richard III, the French Revolution, or the Spanish Civil War? You have to tell what is Reign of Terror is.
Okay. So the Reign of Terror was a period of the French Revolution when, following the creation of the First Republic, a series of massacres and numerous public executions took place in response to revolutionary fervor, anti-clerical sentiment, and accusations of treason by the Committee of Public Safety. So it was a very horrifying period of violence and terror. That's why Reign of Terror, when people were horrified and terrified, and it was an era which was entailed by the French Revolution. Next.
The Circus Animals Desertion is a work by Dash. Is it Edward Anton Chekhov or W.B. Yeats? The Circus Animals Desertion is the work. It's by either of the following writers.
Okay. So, as all of you have guessed by the picture of the poet, yes, it's a very famous poem by W.B. Yeats. Okay, this poem was published in the collection Last Poems in the year 1939. And while the original composition date of the poem is unknown, it was probably written somewhere between 1937 and 1938. In the preface, Yeats suggests that he intended the poem to combine his personal views and impressions with the customs and beliefs of Christian Ireland. The poem was the last work published in Yeats's final collection, with politics following as an envoy. In this poem, the poet uses the desertion of circus animals as an analogy to describe his failure to find inspiration for poetic creation as he seeks for new inspiration. So it's a very popular work, and it starts like this: I sought a theme and sought for it in vain. So, this failure of Yeats to find that inspiration to create something new, that loss of creativity he was suffering from. Next.
Amelia Sedley and Becky Sharp are contrasting characters in Dash. Is it Moll Flanders or Mansfield Park or Pilgrim's Progress or Vanity Fair? Amelia Sedley and Becky Sharp, these are the characters. It's in either of the following novels. Is it either Moll Flanders or Mansfield Park or Pilgrim's Progress or Vanity Fair?
Again, two very popular characters in a very popular novel by a very popular Victorian novelist. So, Amelia Sedley and Becky Sharp are contrasting characters in the novel Vanity Fair, or A Novel Without a Hero, by William Makepeace Thackeray. Thackeray was a very prominent novelist of the Victorian era, and all of his works, be his sketches or his works for the various magazines like Punch or the Yellow Plush Papers, his novels like the History of Henry Osmond, Vanity Fair, Pendennis, all of these works are very important. And these works are actually statements which provide quite a clear picture of the contemporary society, politics, culture, gender, right? So do look up the Victorian novelists. They're very important. Their outlook and their ideas towards the contemporary society and politics, the welfare of public, everything. It's very important. Next.
The word negritude was coined by Claude McKay, Leopold Senghor, or Amy Césaire. The word negritude was coined by Dash. Is it Langston Hughes, Claude McKay, Leopold Senghor, or Amy Césaire?
Okay. Yes, so very popularly, this term negritude was coined by Amy Césaire. It's also a very popular movement which asserted this unique identity of being black, negritude. And the other stalwarts who were associated with this movement were Leopold Senghor, then Leon Damas. They were the other figures who were associated with this movement of negritude. All right, next.
Identify the works written by Thomas de Quincey. Is it Confessions of an English Opium Eater, Recollections of the Lake and the Lake Poets, The English Mail Coach, or Suspiria de Profundis? You have to tell, is it one and two only, two or three, two and three only, one, two, and three only, or one, two, three, and four, all statements. All the works are by Thomas de Quincey.
Thomas De Quincey was a very prominent essayist of the late Romantic period. We know many of his works, and here all the works that we can see, like the Confessions of an English Opium Eater, Recollections of the Lake and the Lake Poets, the English Mail Coach, Suspiria de Profundis, all of these are works by Thomas De Quincey. Thomas De Quincey, Charles Lamb, Hazlitt, all of them are very important essayists of the late Romantic era. And their works, their essays, the essay collections they produced, they're very important. The magazines or the periodicals they contributed to, the chronology of their works, very, very important. Do look up all these details very minutely. All right, next.
Find out Chinua Achebe's African trilogy from the following. Is it A Man of the People, Antilles of the Savannah, and Arrow of God? Is it A Man of the People, Arrow of God, and No Longer at Ease? Or is it Things Fall Apart, No Longer at Ease, and Arrow of God? You have to tell Chinua Achebe's African trilogy, the correct trilogy.
Okay. So Chinua Achebe was a very popular Nigerian novelist, poet, and critic who is regarded as a central figure of modern African literature. His first novel and magnum opus, Things Fall Apart, occupies a pivotal place in African literature and remains the most widely studied, translated, and read African novel. Along with Things Fall Apart, No Longer at Ease, and Arrow of God complete the African trilogy. So Things Fall Apart, No Longer at Ease, and Arrow of God. These three novels constitute the African trilogy of Chinua Achebe. Next.
Author of Masks of Conquest, 1989 is dash. Is it Gauri Vishwanathan, Meenakshi Mukherjee, Aijaz Ahmed, or Alok Mukherjee, the author of Masks of Conquest, 1989?
Okay. So we all know quite a great deal about this work. So it's a classic work, Masks of Conquest. It's a classic work in post-colonial studies. And this work by Gauri Vishwanathan describes the introduction of English studies in India under British rule and its function as an effective form of political control, abating voluntary cultural assimilation. Very important work. Masks of Conquest, then The Lie of the Land by Rajeshwari Sundar Rajan, Pigeon India by Mulk Raj Anand, then Indianization of English by Brajbi Kachru. These are very, very important works on English studies in India and how this language of English was appropriated as a tool of political and cultural control by the Britishers during their rule over Indian subcontinent. All these have been discussed in very great details in these works. Right, next. Okay, so before we move on, we would like to tell you all that from April 8 onwards, at Vallat, we have started this course of RPSC Assistant Professor, and it's a quiz series where we are giving you all every day topic-wise quizzes, model tests, and you will also get live revisions twice a week. You will get live revisions twice a week, and each session will be of 2 hours. This course has already got started from 8 April. You can see the fee already on the screen and the number also where you can contact your further for your further queries and get enrolled accordingly. So if you haven't yet enrolled in this course, please hurry and get enrolled as soon as possible. Right, next.
Identify the wrong statement about Roland Barthes' essay, The Death of the Author, given below. Is it Barthes rejects the traditional view that the author is the origin of the text and the source of its meaning? Or Barthes' views are nothing but a restatement of the new critical dogma about the literary work's autonomy? Okay. Or Barthes believes that the readers are free to open and close a text signifying process without respect for the signified, or Barthes' author is stripped of all metaphysical status and reduced to a location where language crosses and recrosses. You have to identify the wrong statement about Roland Barthes' essay, The Death of the Author.
So here all the statements are true except this second one. It's true. It's wrong. Sorry. So yes. See here all the three statements that you can see: A, uh, C, and D. These three statements are true about the death of the author, but the second statement, Barthes' views are nothing but a restatement of the new critical dogma about the literary work's autonomy. This statement is wrong because Barth not only talked about the autonomy of the text, here in the essay, The Death of the Author, Roland Barthes most importantly raises the issue of the agency of the reader. Here, the focus is on the agency and the autonomy and the creation power, the meaning making power of the reader. Here, the text is not the central focus. In the essay of Barth, the central focus is the reader. So it's wrong. Here, the question is you have to identify the wrong statement, and option B is wrong, that in his essay, Barth is just reiterating the views of new criticism. No, that's wrong. All the other statements are correct. Next.
The concept of intentional fallacy was proposed by Dash. Is it Wimsatt or Brooks, or Wimsatt and Brooks, or Wimsatt and Beardsley? The concept of intentional fallacy was proposed by either Wimsatt, Brooks, Wimsatt and Brooks, or Wimsatt and Beardsley.
So this concept of intentional fallacy was proposed by Wimsatt and Beardsley in their article, The Intentional Fallacy, where they're stating that it's wrong for the readers to judge a text by the intentions the author might have had for it, right? So it's wrong to think about the intentions of the writer and then judge the text. That's why intentional fallacy, and it was proposed by Wimsatt and Beardsley in their essay, The Intentional Fallacy, which states that it's wrong to judge a text based on the intentions the author might have had about it. Right. Next.
The Castle of Perseverance is a dash. Is it a morality play, comedy written by Ben Jonson, Gothic novel written by Anne Radcliffe, or a mystery play? The Castle of Perseverance, you have to tell what is it.
Okay. So the Castle of Perseverance, it's a 15th century morality play and the earliest known full-length vernacular play in existence. Along with Mankind and Wisdom, the Castle of Perseverance is preserved in the macro manuscript that is now housed in the Folger Shakespeare Library in Washington, D.C. The Castle of Perseverance contains nearly all of the themes found in other morality plays, but it is especially important and unusual because a stage drawing is included, which may suggest theater in the round. So it's a very popular morality play. All right, next.
Yoknapatawa is a fictional county created by Dash. Is it Mark Twain, Herman Melville, Nathaniel Hawthorne, or William Faulkner? Yoknapatawa, it's a fictional county created by either of the following writers.
Okay, this is a very easy question. You all know this. So Yoknapatawpha County is a fictional Mississippi county created by the American author William Faulkner, largely based on and inspired by Lafayette County, Mississippi, and its county seat of Oxford. Faulkner often referred to Yoknapatawpha County as my apocryphal county. Okay, next.
Sir Walter Scott's novel, set in Palestine during the Crusades, is dash. Is it Waverley, The Legend of Montrose, Red Gauntlet, or The Talisman? Sir Walter Scott's novel that is set in Palestine during the Crusades.
Okay, so it is The Talisman. The Talisman is one of the Waverley novels by Sir Walter Scott. Published in 1825 as the second of his Tales of the Crusaders, it is set during the Third Crusade and centers on the relationship between Richard I of England and Saladin. So, it's a very important novel with that Talisman by Walter Scott, set in Palestine during the Crusades. Right. Next.
Who among the following are generally considered as the Holy Trinity of colonial discourse analysis? Is it Bill Ashcroft, Gareth Griffiths, and Helen Tiffin? Edward Said, Gayatri Spivak, and Homi K. Baba? Franz Fanon, Edward Said, and Leopold Senghor? Or Edward Said, Bill Ashcroft, and Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak? You must know from the picture itself what's the answer.
Yes. So, Edward Said, Homi Bhabha, and Gayatri Spivak. They are the pillars of post-colonial studies that any post-colonialist reader is compelled to read about before approaching post-colonial literary texts. And they are considered by Robert Young. Please be very careful and note this. They are considered Edward Said, Spivak, and Homi Bhabha. They are considered by Robert Young, another post-colonial theorist. Robert Young is another eminent post-colonial theorist. So according to Robert Young, these three theorists, Syed, Spivak, and Bhabha, they are the holy trinity of post-colonialism or colonial discourse analysis. Very important question. Please do read more about it, then your ideas will get clearer. Okay. Next.
Who are the writers criticized as materialists by Virginia Woolf in modern fiction? Arnold Bennett, John Galsworthy and H.G. Wells, James Joyce, T.S. Eliot and Ezra Pound, H.G. Wells, Rudyard Kipling and Thomas Hardy, or E.M. Forster, D.H. Lawrence and Joseph Conrad, who are the writers criticized as materialists by Virginia Woolf in her work Modern Fiction.
Okay. So in the essay, Modern Fiction, Virginia Woolf notoriously designates the term materialists to describe the failure of Edwardian writers to present life itself. Arnold Bennett, H.G. Wells, and John Galsworthy disappoint because they are concerned not with the spirit. I'm quoting. Virginia Woolf said, they disappoint. Bennett, Galsworthy, H.G. Wells. They disappoint because, quote, they are concerned not with the spirit, but with the body. And hence, they were termed as materialists by Virginia Woolf in her essay Modern Fiction. Do look up all the essays by Virginia Woolf, extremely important. Next.
Who among the following said, I describe not men but manners, not an individual but a species? Is it Lawrence Sterne, Daniel Defoe, Henry Fielding, or Jane Austen? Who among the following said, I describe not men but manners, not an individual but a species?
So it is the famous 18th century novelist Henry Fielding who said, I describe not men but manners, not an individual but a species. Okay? Okay, next.
Dikwandito is a volume of autobiography by Dash. Is it Jayanta Mahapatra, Arun Kolatkar, Mahasweta Devi, or Taslima Nasreen? Dikwandito is the volume of autobiography among the following writers. Who has written it?
Okay, so you might have guessed by the picture. From the picture, yes. Dikhondito. It's a Bengali word. Dikhondito means split into two. Something which has been split into two portions. That's what we call in Bengali as dikhondito. Broken or split into two pieces. It's a Bengali term, all right? So dikhondito, it's an autobiographical book of Bengali novelist and poet Taslima Nasreen. It was published in 2003 and this is the third volume of Amar Me Bella. It's a series of autobiographical works. The book was first published in Bangladesh under the title Ko, means speak, and then it was banned. It was also banned in the Indian state of West Bengal for 2 years, alleging insult of religious beliefs and obscenity. In March 2018, the book was translated into English and published as Split, A Life by Penguin Random House. Okay, so that's all about the Talisman Nasreen. Do look up her works, very important. Next.
The author of Dhanloka is Dash. Is it Anand Vardhan or Kaloka? Is either of the following writers?
Okay. So the author of Dhanya Loka is Ananda Vardhana. Okay. So it was a very revolutionary text in Sanskrit. Okay. So Dhanya Loka by Ananda Vardhana, it revolutionized Sanskrit literary theory by proposing that the main goal of good poetry is the evocation of a mood or flavor. There is a rasa, and that this process can be explained only by recognizing a semantic power beyond denotation and metaphor, namely the power of suggestion. So, just going beyond just the literal words and meanings and achieving that rasa in the audience. This text is about evoking that how the aim or agenda of good poetry should be the creation of rasa in the readers or in the audience. Okay, so Dhanya Loka, very important text of Sanskrit literary theory by Ananda Vardhana. Do look up these texts of Sanskrit poetics. Okay, very important these days. And before we finally wrap up, we want you guys to know that at Vallabh from 8 April, we have started this course, RPSC Assistant Professor Quiz Series. Here, every day you will get topic-wise quizzes. You will get model tests for practice, and twice a week, you will get live revision sessions. Each session will be 2 hours, and this course has already started. All right. The fee is there already on the screen. You can see that. And the phone number is also there. You can contact at that number for your further queries and get enrolled accordingly. So if you haven't yet, hurry and get enrolled, because exam is also around the corner and you need to prepare well. All right. So with that, we would like to wrap up for tonight. So Ananya, shall we?
Yes, yes. As usual, it was a very informative session. I hope all of you got new points and you got to revise the very crucial aspects as well. Okay, good night, everyone, from my side.
Okay. All right, guys. Good night. Take care. And tomorrow it's paper 1. So do join tomorrow for paper 1 classes of Jobin sir. All right. Bye. Take care. Good night. And do like the video and share and subscribe, and see you all again in the next session.